the first bit of news. I don't know if it's the biggest bit of news, but it's the first bit of news. CM Punk has been turned down by WWE. Punk's intention to return to the company was reported in the latest edition of the Wrestling Observer newsletter, with sources from his camp stating the two sides were in talks. Dave Meltzer provided an update on this situation during a special Tuesday night edition of Wrestling Observer Radio. Here are the quotes from Mr. Meltzer. They turned him down, Meltzer said. The decision was a no. He wanted to go there and the decision was a no. I mean, it can always change, and it was brought up to me that there was no such thing as no forever when it comes to WWE, but it's no for now. It's Vince's decision, Vince, Nick Khan, Paul Levesque, and obviously they decided that the negatives outweighed the positives. About 10 months ago, they were talking again. At the point, he was still under contract to AEW, and I was told that would be a no. But it's easy to say it's a no because there's no chance he could ever get past the contracts and stuff. It could always change, and it was made very clear to me that if WWE's business went down, they know it's a card that they could play, but is it worth it? And just to add that before, because I know you've got a lot to say on this, Meltzer also noted that WWE decided against bringing Punk back in 2019 when Punk ended up doing punditry for Fox at the time, and then also he was at a backstage event, in April, whenever it was, April 24th. It says when he was visiting backstage and he was thrown out. So you've heard apparently what WWE has to say on Punk. Are they right?
Well, I don't think Vince made this decision all on his own. They said it was a panel that decided this. And what they're saying, as much as I hate to agree with that damn Meltzer, but from a business standpoint, if you really look at it, Punk can't help them that much because they're already doing really, really good with their own talent and their own ideas. Where Punk would help them is if they needed one guy that was really kind of over, and then Punk showed up unannounced, and that might, I don't know if he would pop it, but he wouldn't hurt it. So I would think, and I predicted Punk would be going back, but think in your own head. You're on the creative team. You bring in Punk in. You don't bring him in as a first match, or second match, or third match, or even the middle of the card. You got to bring him in one of the last matches. So, who do you move over? I mean, you're not going to bring this guy in for just. Now, we used to be able to bring a guy in for a week, 2 weeks, a month, then he disappears. But he disappears strongly, so in another 3 months, you can use him again in the same role. But he may not be interested in that. I think these sides I don't think they are part on money. I think they are part on creativity. Because he quit the last time in 2013, I think.
Oh, I think it was 14, early 14.
It could have been 14. But in Chicago, and I've talked about this before, I was there. I was trying to get in there to talk to Vince myself over some wild idea I had. Never got in. He took up Vince for the whole day because, he has a line outside his office for guys wanting to talk to him, pitch ideas. So I was getting ready to pitch one. And I never did end up pitching that idea because Vince wasn't there the next week because Punk had really upset their balance. They don't like that. I don't blame them because they had a lot of, when Punk was there, he had a future and he was involved in it. But when he says, I'm going to make this next pay-per-view and I'm going to give my notice, I'm going to leave, which he did, which is the right thing to do, but he upset the creative plans that they had for him up to that point. And he was mad because he wasn't the main event. When did he quit?
So if it was 2014, so what did he quit? Just before or after the Royal Rumble, so it was very early on.
And I don't even think he was mad about his payoff. You see a lot of guys, they bitch a lot about big shows because I should have got this. He wasn't even bitching about that. He was pitching that he wasn't the main event.
Mm-hmm.
Now, being the main event doesn't pay your bills. It's what you get paid that pays your bills. Hell, I've seen a lot of guys, and I know this for a fact, the guy could be the main event and get paid less than the guy in the semifinal. Mm-hmm. It's how their contracts are geared. But he was kind of pissed off. And I think he was pissed off at Undertaker or something.
It was Triple H to a point. So apparently the quote that was given, because I think Punk was going to be wrestling Triple H at that WrestleMania. Now, this is the WrestleMania, I believe, if I'm just looking at it right. This is the one where Hulk Hogan comes out and calls the building the wrong name, of course. But this is also the where Brock Lesnar beats The Undertaker, and especially this is Daniel Bryan wins the title in that triple threat match at the end of the show. So it was a stacked card enough as it was, really. But Punk was supposed to be fighting Triple H, and I think whatever was said, the line was, Punk said to Triple H, I don't need to work with you to get over, you need to work with me to get over. So there you go. So, I mean, Triple H, I don't think is Phil's biggest fan.
Well, that could have hurt him because I think Punk is a little difficult to work with. But I don't know him coming, and I predicted he would go to WWE. I didn't think they'd be that pissed off at him. I think he'd be a great addition just to show up. I didn't think they would advertise him. They don't even have to advertise him because their fan base, if he did this in Chicago, they would fall out of the seats because they see him doing something in wrestling that's going to make news. Most of those fans in Chicago are smart fans anyway. They got to be. Working in Chicago is brutal. It's like working in Philadelphia sometimes. All those fans are smart. And you go out there, brother, they roast your ass. I don't care what you've done. You could have done something 5 years earlier. Hey, you drunk bass, you got locked up lately, or you get a DUI again. No, you're useless. So the fans, you have heat with them legitimately if you've done something wrong. But I don't know how you combat that. So, but anyway, I predicted he would go. He's not going to go, but I want to go on record by saying I think we'll see him, CM Punk, within a year and a half. Because, and I've sped that up a little bit, I think he has one final run in WWE that they could make special. I really do. And if they got around him, he wants to go out on top. This is his last match ever, in WWE. I think they'd have to say that because, and we're going to talk about something else in a minute too about the last matches, but I think they could make that special one run, and I think it's coming up in about a year and a half. Now, and I hate to kind of agree with Meltzer. Oh my God. I'm gonna stab myself right now. Well, but in that particular instance, I think he's right.
Before we get off the old Punk tip for now, and goodness me, I know we've got a million news stories, but we'll get through them as much as we can. Booker T said this about Punk recently, and I think it mostly goes to what you were saying before. So, here's what he said in wherever he said it, probably his podcast. At this point in time right now, when everything is going so great, not just from an in-ring perspective, but an out-of-ring perspective as well, as far as the company, the WWE, is doing great. What does CM Punk add to WWE right now at this point? If CM Punk worked this contract in AEW and it was coming up and Punk didn't sign with AEW and WWE actually got in and got him and boom, I think we would have something. But CM Punk didn't just leave WWE, he got fired from WWE. He didn't just leave AEW, he got fired with cause from AEW. What value does a person like that bring to your company? People say, well, you've got a lot of people that's going to love it. He's got a lot of fans that are going to love it. Yeah, he's got a lot of fans, but those fans actually mean nothing when it comes to the big picture. because the fans that love him didn't bump the ratings that much on AEW, where was that much more significant than it was before he actually got there? On CM Punk as a wrestler, I don't know what cool matches you're talking about. He must be talking to his co-host there. What I'm saying is CM Punk, I mean, his better wrestling days are behind. All right, that's just a fact. He's not getting any younger. CM Punk is what, now 44, 45? But the one thing I am saying is, has CM Punk lost a step? Is CM Punk the same CM Punk that he was in WWE? Was that match saying Punk against Samoa Joe, excuse me, I'll reread that. Was that match, I'm going to have to add this in, at the Wembley show, CM Punk versus Samoa Joe, the same as they had in Ring of Honor? No, it isn't. So, Booker T's partially saying CM Punk's too old, and partially WWE's doing too well to put up with him.
Didn't I just kind of say that too?
Pretty much, yeah.
Well, I am agreeing with him. He's at that age to where, like a young guy shows up, 18, 20 years old, and he hears that this guy is 45. Well, that's his father's age. So he loses some of his coolness right there. But I still think there's one run left in him. If they make that known, there's one run and he's going after this, which has got to be the world title. But I don't know if they want to end that story with him not getting the world title. Mm-hmm. See what I mean? Mm-hmm. I mean, it has or you can make, I don't know. It's up to creative, but I think they could do one last run with him and make it work.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here slightly before we get off Punk. I sort of think in a sense that Booker T's missing the point here, in the sense that you can... Yeah, WWE's doing really well at the moment. You know, they're selling out buildings, house show attendance is doing fantastic, etc. But, I mean, you can rest on your laurels for too long. I mean, you can, not to sound like Vince Russo here too much, but you constantly want to be throwing in curveballs.
You know who you sound like?
Go on, bro.
Vince Russo.
Okay. Hey, bro. And I said to him, bro, that look, you always want to... Punk's like the most talked about person in the industry still. I think you still want to shock the system constantly. Hey, you thought this was happening, but now this is happening. Take it to a new edge, get the people talking about you again, because if you just like rest on your laurels for so long, then eventually it gets a bit stale and boring. The Bloodline thing at the moment's a bit...
Yep.
You know, it's cooled off somewhat now. So what's the new big thing to shock the system?
Okay, this is what I'm saying. If Punk goes in, does Roman Reigns, does he move over? Does he lose the title to somebody else? Or what about Gunther? What's Gunther going to do?
What about Cody? I mean...
And Cody.
And The Rock, if he's coming back.
And there's, where do you place him and make 100% use of his... People, he does have insane fans, but I don't know what he really adds to the overall picture. But he damn sure makes that whole card look stacked, because everybody on that card has a story, has a journey, and I don't know exactly where he fits in. But if they need to plug something and they can't take anybody else out of their angles, out of their stories, if they can plug CM Punk in there, it may work. But again, that's not my decision, but I'm interested in what they do with him.